Well, hello everyone, and welcome from... We'll complete the racing distance of 7,330. Probably feels like 580 laps for the three for grabs. Piastri, Verstappen, driver in Formula One to be champion. Track as last year, around about the same temperature as last. It's 2 against 1 for a McLaren tri. See what happens. The first big news, the Prix, you've come into the box, barely a...
Yeah, 25.6 degrees air temp and 30. Last time I looked during FP1. Comes to more grip, a better balance from the car. Ferraris, we heard Leclerc quite vociferous. Feels like driving on ice.
Yep.
So, yeah,
I don't know, but his car was jumping around a bit. That's not the conditions they go racing. So thinks back to his teammate Lando Norris when he will bring you this weekend.
Although I'd like to think the FP1 sessions that he gives up to a rookie driver.
Lando Norris leads the championship. Plenty of permutations. We'll bring them to you throughout the weekends. Well, Sauber is here as well, stood at the back of the garage. But after 32 years and 607, and Carl Wendling are lined up on the grid in the South
African Grand Prix. JJ later, come on.
1,086 points for the team, the latest to compete. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do a guard of honour for Peter James, Ted Kravitz, that it just screams for the Sauber years.
Definitely.
I don't think Peter Sauber paddock and on the grid.
I think Robert Kubica thinks that. Let me tell you about what's been going on. As you refer, laps largely depends on the setup work they do. Also some changes to Oscar Piastri's the car. Those changes largely finished. Saw the tyres as they came off Max's car. Happy at all. So had everyone else was having a similar kind of experience underneath him, both Oscar and Max now.
Qualified 4th, finished 6th last year. Before that, before we reflected on Sauber, to me, get on the front row, you give your...
Circuit that does reward a powerful.
Yep.
It isn't a race where it's per stint like we were at the last one.
Phew.
Qualifying is
a weird one, isn't it? Because you're absolutely right. We have 30 not parks on the back of a boat, shouldn't we?
I'm sure it hasn't got any.
No, well parked, Fernando or Lance. Pole has what? 10 times.
I wonder if it's got anything to do with the very short run. You know, it's a track that something extra out of it as a driver. It's, you know, stats are there to be broken, and I'm sure the man's just...
My helmet is pointing upward, please.
Understood. It's going to make your eyes water. By the time we get to Abu Dhabi, and we've had no people have done, teams have done their development, and
it's not a track where you see items that they can go through as we rate FP2.
Look at that, 7 wins this season. The man could get 8 if they're all tied on 7. Oscar, so on a countback, he would win that. But quite frankly, and I haven't got that far.
It's just going to... They're going to be thinking, firstly, about the victory and see if there's anything that can be. Years ago in 2016 springs to mind with Lewis Hamilton.
Verstappen crosses the line to complete his code for you. If you want the choice of the race so you can impress your friends with all your knowledge, I will be using that. Thank you very much to our code for you as we just watched the Ferrari. You need the Sky Sports login and your remote control. There's your parish notices for but the rest are mediums or heads, and then see what happens after that. He is etc. Let's follow his progress.
This season he lost, I don't know whether it was a bit of confidence for the year, and maybe that just swung into where he had a low grip. Came good in terms of pace for the Aussie, but I'm sure he's going to, and certainly you've got to say, we'll catch up because the other drivers have.
Fastest, he's nearly 8/10 off the pace up on his flying lap on the soft compound tyre. Soft tyres Bearman, soft tyres Hadjol for next year, and he looks, so he goes quickest overall by about, no, it's now a second off the pace. There's a possible impeding here. Max,
Maybe he is.
Max was, the radio probably came to Max a little bit. So already there, Hans.
That's who this guy is.
Yeah.
Nothing malicious from Max there. It's just it was just reading the situation slightly wrong because he...
And it is possible to get that wrong at the moment because there are somewhat... Should we go trackside? We can go to turn 12, which is a fat timer. Martin Brundle, good evening to you.
Actually, it's a 90-degree right-hander. If they want to find themselves some space, prepare their time of speed. You see the Alpine going through there, easily gets out of the way. And when we've got an Aston Martin shenanigans start, especially during this, the sort of track furniture. But when you've got a lot of roll loaded, so you can do that, that means you can go through there. And that is Oscar Piastri. Now, he does that quite a lot, actually, if the backsliding, but then eventually rate. So that's pretty critical. But as Max Verstappen goes through, having been off throttle for quite a long time, sounds like track. And George Russell's Mercedes too. And I don't think that was. throttle last weekend in Qatar. So an important little section.
Yeah, thanks ever so much, Martin. We're getting a really good change for next season. Drivers pick up the throttle.
Yeah, all that's going on there, save more fuel, and normally aspirated V8s, that's when. So it does sound odd when you're out on track like loading the car up as you brake. You saw Lando lose the rear end on his first proper picking, and you can't be aggressive therefore on the brakes. These drivers coming up to turn 6, it's fully loaded with downforce, and as the downforce bleeds off you, and that's what's going on in turn 12.
Yeah. I was talking to someone, a very clever person last night. So what you need to do is you've got to be like Back to the Future, you know, into the back of the DeLorean, and then
I'm sure
it says we're not. I said, I'm sorry. He said, who's for next year? Risk for next year, which I thought was a really. We're on board with Lewis Hamilton underneath him, and we've seen the struggles, haven't we, in the last few. Fastest overall. Lewis, by the way, of each. There's Max Verstappen.
Lewis, another one of those drivers, of course, didn't take part, so Lewis back in action now, and 11 at this point as well, and so he's another driver that your feet and almost obviously there's a lot of good that comes from it, but a little bit counterproductive. You're very lucky in terms of
coming very much into an operating window that's being set by Hadjar. Welcome back. This time of the evening, and the wind and the sea.
With the car after the comes down a bit, disperses, and we're now at 20 and better. So yeah, we're around 10 degrees. There can sometimes be over a second of performance.
What we need in the commentary box is something a little bright. Face the camera, and then everyone will know. But, this is the first.
This is the first.
Excellent.
Is this part of being full-time in Formula 1?
Yeah, it's part. He's a rookie or a test driver, reserve driver. Yeah, too late for next year, and I apologise for that. We should have got.
Kind of, we're yet to wait.
Yeah, but otherwise, the sequence goes on.
At the beginning, because we were coming here, I don't know if the temp. I'm sure the cars feel much better now than they did.
Well, this
driving at the same
magic of
time.
TV.
It's dirty, and also it was with the track temperature. But for sure now in FP2, and generally when the track temperature is lower, the grip's much better. Because the last time I drove was in Mexico, and I used to be back in a proper environment.
In the kind of... When's it locked in?
I think it has sometimes been later. It really depends. Give the sessions away, because ultimately that means that we're on plan, but you need to be dynamic. And I think some people were doing FP1s in Bahrain already. You're with the car, and how happy are the drivers?
See the two cars or not?
Yes, there is.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I'm sure. You two, my friends, yeah, there is a difference. I mean, every car has a different team's car. You hear often the drivers say, so here in Formula 1, where you actually develop driving styles and...
Well, look, we've got two drivers, Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar, on the soft during the first sector. Isaac is out on Max, so nearly 3/10, mid-123s. So kind of puts that on there to go half a second while as he makes his way one more corner.
Look very nice and tidy in that sector 3, and on this sector is the most grip limited, and on this track the grip becomes important. So sector struggling a little bit in sector 1, but then he has more time.
You mentioned it looked controlled, and as does Hulkenberg's. From what I can make out, Paul, it's and that turn 12, it looks exciting and quick. It's not necessarily...
Car. By the way, that was a stalking lap from Hulkenberg in FP1. I think... Oh, that was close.
He stopped.
And the car is so low and stiff, and that's been removed, but there's a few new ones. And
Norris had a moment there as well. You're just going to have to rework the line, but
just the other side of it, but less than a Tinelli. And a rookie his way and has fought back.
All the rookies have done a good job. It's always going to be a bit of a shock for a rookie to do their job on a few weekends. That some of these Formula 1 drivers, you know, they want to come late to the track and so on.
Got to apologise for that, I'm afraid, Paul. You're not a deep language, ladies and gentlemen. Great, sir.
English is not my first language.
I'm sure the mechanic 3-0 puts 3.5 tenths between himself. Dream start. Estonia not
in for how small the country is. There's been a few weeks ago or back in the day who have been very close to have a deal done, and that was the time with BMW pulled. And I would say from motorsport there's been many successful people kind of bring that flag to Formula 1, and the journey started from my father, who was
We've made some changes in the background.
Happened. We're on board with Oscar Piastri. Your father
crazy, and then he didn't let. Where actually he wanted to race on dirt bikes, as well. Always at the racetrack, saw him race. Then he got me a go-kart, got a really bad one.
Because a decent time for Oscar Piastri, nearly 7/10 off. Franco Colapinto has just got... Pierre Gasly's form in qualifying in the last few appearances this season What have you learnt from
Being together for that qualifying, because but very often I've heard on the debriefs is just able to put it all together, and that's why I think they've built this good entourage and then just put the package together for qualifying, and that's and trying a lot of things. But when it comes
so after FP1 you'll go back in there, and so there then how's that for you?
Yeah, for sure, how good your feedback is, and that's something I've worked a lot. Confident that I can deliver a good structurized feedback.
Nicely controlled that.
Almost, you know, Max, that you need to be structured. I mean, sometimes feel and understand, but for the engineers, the most impossible, and that's what I try to do. And from what I heard, they were very happy they did, and if what I suggested was the right direction.
track as well? We could talk all night, we can't. And the year after, we'll be talking about...
Much, and sorry for the language.
Ted Kravitz has some news on Oscar Piastri.
Referred to again, bit of a blast from the past. Verstappen, it's even going okay for George Russell. They don't have a balance yet. He doesn't have a balance yet to the box. Made a quick adjustment via the end of the hour, and he's still not happy. Practice 3. Let's see how this, Anthony, is the times, or have a look at some more.
How you can lose a lot of time in the final set.
Are used down here as now. This is 160 miles. You can hear them. I almost you can smell them. Haste. Important place to be. So they're flat out through here into the pit lane. That's the and practicing that. So they're coming off this corner at 160, getting in the pit lane through the pit. Every little thing matters. This stage of the season lift, or they used to run wide here. The track's not smooth. They know and two testing corners like going on. Back to you.
Martin didn't see was this moment for Oscar to turn 6 into the chicane up. Just under 7/10 down.
Might have to have a cheeky look at that one on the onboard.
And that is a massive worry. Did it look like...
Explain completely the lockup, that would be more of a tour or vice versa, depending on how you have it set up. The mid-corner phase, high-speed phase, electric motor, regen, which you can use some of the lockup. So, I mean, that's to get to the right answer. Is what you can do. Sorry, Crofty, going back to where Martin was standing low terms, on the back of your neck, really stand on it. It's just really something else. I'm very jealous if you can't tell.
Well, this is fantastic.
Sweet.
That is the kind of feedback.
Why it's so good. That way you might be...
McLaren underneath him. Piastri's aha!
13th, and well, that lap, the one. Norris and Verstappen then. So just under 16, 15, his teammate Carlos Sainz. Lauren Mekis joins us this weekend. For you as a team and for the drivers.
It's fair enough. It's one of the biggest degrees down compared to it's actually quite overcast. So I think we all. But now the real deal is now really. So to try to prepare for the race as best as we can.
As you mentioned during FP1, and I know the track has to be on that because it is a track where you can.
Totally right, Anthony. The focus is more so on the one push on the soft, favorable track for that. So priority is right now.
And obviously we're thinking ahead to Sappand. Since you took over as team print, or have you and your engineering team come up with some...
Simple truth is that there is two sons, and of course they were not happy with where nobody wanted to give up. And a development for the car that arrived at across all car areas. That
really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. I'll pause for 2 seconds because our producer, and hopefully Zach has answered, and he's
good now that Oscar's let me back in my seat.
I'm not sure he wants your seat back again.
No, he just missed sector, but he'll get there.
And Zach Lando, so good as well. He's certainly keeping him to kind of blank out.
Business as usual. I know, obviously, coming into the weekend, they seem actually more relieved together. We're awesome. As far as I'm concerned, any of the three can win it. What qualifying brings in the race?
Right, I have to make way for the other to allow them to win a champion. No, we've had that chat now, and we will, because a few fans will go, no, that's not. You would ask a driver to do that.
To win the championship, I think that's exactly what we mind ourselves at some point. And they're going to do what we can to make sure we get the intention of giving both equal opportunity to do.
And can I ask, when
just not trying to win the championship, but they're great. They look after each other, so I think that if that scenario appears.
Zach, and like Lauren, we really appreciate your time. We've got bases covered.
To each other and us be live at the...
We've also got Bernie Collins coming in. You're going to be at race control. Martha's pumped for this season finale.
Broadcast team, whether you're a driver, there's a lot at stake, and it just sometimes, especially from the driver's point, it's the point where you've got to try and relax back into it.
Who's this Ferrari? Leclerc.
Not his younger brother, the big.
I love it. There was an investigation.
It was Ocon impeding Anthony, and it was really bad. David Lindblad, he was another one of our 9 rookies.
6, of course, if you include Alex Albon, who races on.
I'm at Ferrari, Crofty, watching just not much change to the car. So I think the setup is, I believe he made a mistake on the last, or 4/10 or 3/10. So I think behind his teammate, not represents the race. Special crash helmet designs, which is a full mirrored chrome dash helmet design, where he's gone lucky, the lucky Sparkles the Unicorn.
Much in turn 3.
Ah, okay, so some more work. The lucky Unicorn, it was a sticker from Qatar last week, and he's got fantastic.
Fair play if it's a lucky all season, since Felipe Massa and Valtteri allowed a special crash helmet for this German driver to do that. This is Mac.
Car was coming towards us, looked a little bit more extreme. It does feel like a big moment.
Because Paul Aaron, when he was with us about Hulkenberg's qualifying pace there, because he was for overtaking in the tunnel. Q3 for Nico from...
I guess for all of us, but mostly you, Crofty, do exactly that when you've got the time delta that you're allowed to drive to, really like Hulkenberg did. Thought he was doing the right thing, because
on the ground you've got to stick with the jam. It is often the best way.
I'm loving the fact that Behrman's the one that I'm sure the Sauber's going to be did. How on earth is his car feeling? Don't touch it now.
And you know, already good news, the future to come with Toyota. I lines for more and more of a collaborate. Briefly, Lando Norris had a gold star on at the back. Should he?
And it's just maximum concentration there.
McLaren's ahead of the Ferrari.
And continuing on where he left off in that critical moment, it's really what helped give. Yeah, he did the business here last year too.
Of course, who have still, by the way, never with the world's fastest roller coaster. It's still not. Definitely Ferrari finished 4th in the Constructors' Champion. A lot of laps completed, each the most laps.
Yeah, exactly it. He goes under turn 1.
Barely talked about George Russell, and we should talk about George. Final round, not in contention of any other driver this season. Only 1,305 laps across all the sessions, and a heap of points for George, and I think is very much doing that.
And although he hasn't always been able to deliver, he's extracted every always fast, particularly in qualifying. The ride, he's saying, is completely gone, because they've been in the 29. So yeah, that hurt the team and what they can do come Sunday. One of the McLarens, maybe.
If you're sort of think about, but possibly Kimi Antonelli as well. He is, what, 2 points off Lewis Hamilton. He's got a
really well
this season.
Yeah, it's been fun, and for me, Kimi kind of in such tough conditions, and we saw a day, and he shone through that day, but he's picked himself up brilliantly after that. We were led to believe there was a lot of hype around him, and
he's pulled up into pole. There is no furthest up the grid. You think he
put it past him to deliver a kind of lap for the who just